What's up, fellow true believers? Excelsior! Okay, I am putting my money where my mouth is and taking a few moments out from migraine recovery to review and talk about some superhero role-playing games. And let's start at the top. The game that I consistently, repeatedly say I think is one of, if not the best superhero role-playing games, and that is Marvel FASERIP, F-A-S-E-R-I-P, Fighting Agility, Strength, Endurance, Resilience, Intelligence, and Psyche. The original FASERIP Marvel superhero role-playing games from TSR is probably one of, if not the best superhero role-playing games, in my humble opinion, ever. Not because the system was great. It was a very simple percentile system. It definitely had flaws. It definitely favored strength-based characters. You could definitely get some really weird, messed up, totally useless characters, which was part of the fun a lot. But definitely the system itself wasn't anything spectacular. But the way the system was presented was absolutely wonderful, and very few games between then and recently followed suit with the idea that that game set forth. And it wasn't that the random powers tables was awesome, though it does have one of the best random power tables of any of the random power table role-playing games that came out at that time. I think its random power table is better than Villains and Vigilantes and Heroes Unlimited and a couple of the other ones. It just had a wider selection of powers. It had a lot of powers that were quirky and weird and overpowered, and they tried to emulate the Marvel Universe and all the different stuff that you saw in the Marvel Universe. So the random power table was a lot of fun, but really the main selling point was two things. One, Marvel FASERIP superhero role-playing game used words instead of numbers. Sure, the numbers were there. You could roll a 53% or a 22%, but for every chunk of percentiles, 0 through 10, 10 through 20, 20 through 30, 40 through 50, whatever, 100 and above, there was a word that corresponded with the number. And you could just put on your character record sheet, endurance, and then use the word instead of the number. And the system intrinsically knew where you were on the various sheets and various tables for your percentile roll based upon the word. And using words instead of numbers truly, truly captures the feel of a superhero role-playing game. And it's a lot easier for kids. And it's a lot easier for kids with special needs and learning disabilities, because while numbers like 35% might be really hard, a word is very easy. And a word instantly inspires certain imagery. And when the relationship to superheroes, that imagery is so important. Just telling somebody, oh, I've got energy blast at 25 and I'm going to roll it. That's not very exciting. But to say, you know what, I summon forth my energy and I hit Concrete Man with my exceptional energy blast, my unearthly energy blast, my Hulk-like strength. Just using those words instead of numbers just changed everything, because you were saying, oh, you took excellent damage. You lift, you need a Hulk-like street faith to punch through that wall. His resistance is unearthly. It just emulates comic books so amazingly well that I'm not surprised. I'm very surprised that more games didn't use that idea of words instead of numbers. The second was colors. The game also used colors instead of numbers for the various tables. You weren't rolling a 35 or lower, you were rolling a green feat, or a yellow feat, or a shift red feat. And it was color-coded and word-coded, so in order to beat this resistance of unearthly, you needed to roll a red shift feat or higher. Again, colors are much more easy to understand than numbers or even words. I understand yellow, and I understand that according to this chart, yellow is better than orange, but not as good as red or whatever. And as a special needs kid growing up, and working with special needs kids, telling them, okay, in order to make this, you need to get above green. So here's green on the table, and you need green, yellow, red. And they're just like, okay, I rolled 35. Is that green? And you're like, yes, that is green. You have succeeded. With your green shift feet, your earthly energy blast hits him and knocks him back, 100 feet into a wall, and you're like, yeah, green shift feet, yeah, my unearthly energy blast. So by using colors and words instead of numbers, it transcended that D&D mindset and got you truly into the four-color imagination of being a superhero, because colors and words just incite and inspire such a different way of viewing the outcome of the game than just saying plus 15. I do 2d6, whatever. Yes, there were numbers, but the numbers were always in the background, and it was mostly the DM's responsibility to worry about the numbers, and still there were ways around it, so you never really had to worry about the numbers. If you just knew what colors you needed to beat, you could just roll the percentile and then add whatever mechanics were in, and then just look and go, okay, I beat this number, so I've got a red shift feat. I have succeeded. I don't have to worry whether I roll a 34 or 35 or do 2d6 or 5d6 or I get plus 4 or plus 6. It was words and colors, and that is why Marvel Superhero Role-Playing, the original FASERIP system, plus the addition of just the wacky, weird characters you could get, made with the random tables, made it just such a wonderful system to play. Yes, the games were often silly because some of the superpower randomly generated made no sense, and because you could randomly generate how powerful the power was, you would often end up with, powers that were like feeble. And you're like, okay, what can I do with my feeble ice control? Well, I can cool my beverage. So while I'm not a very good superhero, I am an amazing bartender, because every drink I have them is perfectly chilled to their specifics thanks to my feeble ice power. So yes, Marvel Superhero Role-Playing Game. I'm putting my money where my mouth is, reviewing superhero role-playing games, both the ones I own, whether it be solid or PDF. I don't have a solid physical copy of Marvel. It is just too hard to find, but I do have several PDFs of the Marvel FASERIP and the Marvel different tables and the expanded tables and the X-Men book, and just where the table started getting ridiculous and you could be like a robot who was an alien, who had anti-dimensional powers from the dark dimension and was also a mutant. But, it got a little ridiculous before TSR lost the license. But still, it just, in my humble opinion, captures comic books way better than most of, if not all, the superhero role-playing games. Because why so many of the other superhero role-playing games just try and use numbers and number crunching, Marvel used colors and words. So talk to you later, loser. Just putting my money where my mouth is, reviewing superhero role-playing games. Yeah.